In today's tutorial, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to sample like Metro Boomin on the MPC Live 2. All right, so we're just gonna hit main and I'm just gonna walk you guys through how I made this beat. So the first thing we wanna do is load up our sample. I already have mine load up, but if you wanted to load it up, all you have to do is go to Shift menu for a shortcut to bring you to the browser, and then you go to places if you have it on like your SD card. If not, if you're using it from the MPC content, you will find everything right here. So I have mines on my hard drive, and then I go to my track lib samples. Right now, many producers are using this, even industry producers. It's an easy way to clear samples, and it's just a nice website that really gives you like raw samples. I'm not sponsored by them, but I use them, and I know a lot of other producers, especially if you're on MPC, you're gonna wanna use that, and Splice. We'll get into more about where you can find samples and loops, but those are my top two. Then I'll just go through and I'll just open, and then once you have it assigned, you can just assign it to one of the pads, and then it brings you back to this. And as you can see, I had a chop already, but you can just play it. And then you could click on start. You could find your chops this way. Use the the knob. Or you could use at the edge. You gotta hold down the green to find it. So pretty much I just like pick out one section of this whole thing. I didn't use the whole thing. You can go back and use the whole thing, and I'm gonna show you a proper way to organize your chops. You wanna process, you don't wanna go to discard, because if you discard, like it says, and I know many people ain't reading this part, but it says, pressing do it will discard the data beyond the start and the end points. So if you do it this way, you're not gonna have like that full chop again. You just want to extract it and name your chops. And I went ahead and named it chop 1, but make sure you name it something that is going to keep everything organized. And I already know this was the only chop I wanted, so chop 1 is good enough. Process, and now let's talk about time stretch. So when it comes to time stretch, without making it too complicated to understand, and I'll go more in depth with it, we're just gonna put this up to 16, because if we leave it at 8 beats, that's not a reasonable tempo. You don't want to just do 37 then put 75 right here. It's not going to stretch it properly. So you want to go to the closest number that you're trying to get to, either the half time or the double time. So once you have that time stretch, you could go to trim, and it's important to have the tempo, because once you have the tempo, it makes everything easier, man. Now I could just go to BPM and it just laid it out for me. If you go to the right-handed corner where it says time division, this is breaking it down in 16 notes. And then this is breaking it down into 8 notes, and you can break it down to quarter notes like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Learning how to count rhythms is going to be very important if you want to get better at sampling, because this is how you're going to chop it up. Like what most people do is just use these big loops, and they don't realize the real creativity is when you start understanding different time signatures and different rhythms. That's why I used to read sheet music. Sheet music actually helps you out. Finger drumming actually helps you out. When you do exercises that help you with rhythm, that's how you get actually better with rhythm. So now I have all these different chops. The first pattern is just going like. So when you're done with your chops, all you have to do is just go to shift and convert, and then go to new program using slices, because that's just going to make it easier to find. It's probably going to be on a different program. So if you're trying to click and you don't hear anything, you got to make sure you go to the program of the actual name that you named it, which I called it chop 1, and then you'll have it. So then I just went ahead and record that chop in. You could either do record start or overdub start. Overdub is just to blend your notes that you already played. Let's say you do one part of the chop and you want to layer it, then overdub is good, because if you actually do record and play start, it's going to overwrite it. So just think about record as overwrite and overdub to blend. And the way that is lined up automatically is because I went to TC and I put on global timing correct. Global timing correct is this autocorrect. like quantized, and you could choose how it's quantized. It could be quantized by 16 notes or 8 notes or triplets, just depending on the rhythm that you're going for. But usually I keep it at 16. And a little trick that I like to do to like get more creative and find more chops is to have a drum pattern already going or a drum break. And when it comes to Metro Boomin drums, all you have to do is just use trap drums. And that goes without saying. Most people know that, but for those that are new, like, that's how you want to think about it when you're doing any kind of genre. And not to just box yourself in. You can experiment, but if you're looking for a certain sound, then you kind of want to stick with the fundamentals. So it goes something like this, something basic. Something basic, man. Boom, da, boom, da, boom, boom, da, boom, da, boom, boom, da. And that's why I like finger drumming, because once you do finger drumming, you realize how limiting it is. You can't like do all these fast hi-hat notes and then click the perk and then hit the vim shot, then hit the snare. Like, you can, but it's gonna all be like in its own time. And that's why I like finger drumming, because then you come up with more dope rhythms that are simple but just have the best groove. And then once I have like a drum rhythm, I just mess around with the chops, something like this. And then you can just keep getting more creative, like finding more chops, like. Or something like this. And therefore you could just go from a regular sample loop to making it go more than just that loop, making it go past just that 8 bars. And this is how you get better at your arrangement. And then when it comes to the 808, if you're not sure how to like load up an 808 and make it easy for yourself, where you could just put it in the right key and then just mess with the pads, you have to click on key groups, go back to shift and menu to find the 808 that you're looking for. Mine's is on my hard drive. I just go through that, find my 808, and then I just load it. And once you load it, you will see that it's loaded on each pad. And then you want to go to 16 levels, and you want to set it to the right key that it's in. And right now I know that it's in G sharp minor. And the 808 was a real simple rhythm as well. So it'll go something like this. And when I do like different chops for different parts, I just put them on different sequence just so I can arrange it a lot faster. Once you have like your first sequence, it will sound something like this. I just had another chop and the chop went like this. And if you're new to like the MPC Live 2 and I'm kind of moving too fast for you and you didn't understand how to like get to certain options, I would recommend that you watch how to get started with the MPC Live 2 or how to make your first beat on the MPC Live 2. I have videos on that and I really walk you through how to like get started and what like certain knobs do. But all I put on this was a high pass filter and I didn't even like go too crazy. Let's just hear it. So I just put on a high pass filter. As you can see, the more I go down, it's taking a lot out the lows. I want some lows. Then you could get creative if you want to. Use a delay, go with air delay. And let's just actually bring back our drums to see how that would sound. You can even just flip through the presets. Don't think too crazy about it. This one sounds sick. Just turn down the mix. That sounds hard. Let's just hear it by itself real quick. Off. On. you could even add more textures. Like you could just keep building in your song. It don't have to sound like a repeating loop. And another trick to like arrange it and not have everything else affected is just duplicate the drum program. So what I like to do is just go to the program, duplicate the program, because when you duplicate the program, I could leave this one with a delay on it, and then the other one with a different effect or no effect. So that's a good way to go about your workflow with that. The last thing I want to show you guys is, let's say you made a whole beat and you just wanted to see how it sounds in a different key. The fast way to do this is you just want to hit menu and the 14 pad, just so you get to the like this screen. And what you're going to do is go to sample, or a faster way is go back to main and go to warp samples. You want to go to this icon in the middle and press all. And you want to press all so that you affect all the pads and not just one pad. And you can see right here, it's showing you that it's in G sharp minor. That's why I like the MPC Live too. They're usually good at giving you the key. We could even just like see how it would sound. Yeah, that sounds hard. So let's actually use that. And that's why you want to have it on all, because once you have it on all, it's going to play across even all your other sequence. So let's just go to one sequence. So you're probably thinking like, I got the chop. Now I got to go back into like my 808 and change the notes. No, there's a faster way to do this. Especially if you did like your own melodies through the key groups. Like you don't want to have to go through and bring down in the piano roll. You don't have to do all of that. The faster way is to actually go to the transpose and just go down 5 semitones, because that's what you did for the sample. And then now you just have it. Yeah, that sounds a lot harder. So let's actually hear it back with that. And that's how quick it is. But you do have to go to the other sequence and put it at -5. That's the only thing. Sequence ones don't really have to have it because there was no drums on it. Anything with your key groups, you're gonna wanna just transpose it. Now, I get into a whole video on how you could arrange all your sequences together. So make sure you watch that next how to arrange, and like and subscribe if you like this video, and share with your other producer friends that are trying to learn how to chop samples on the MPC Live 2. Let's get it.